to No Excuses. My name is Mary Fran and I talk about weight loss, life, and for me, I talk a lot about my books because I do read quite a bit. I also talk about my pets a lot. This is Mertz. Today I'm going to talk about the books that I read this past week. The first book I read was actually from a YouTuber that had sent me a copy of her book, and it was Finding Passion Through Truth. Like always, I'll have the link in the description below. And this is a book of poetry. As I read the book, I could feel a lot of the pain and the trauma that happens in life. And you were able to see, crying for someone that you shouldn't be crying for. You could see the pain of, inside hurts that we all have. You can see that. And then, in some of the poetry, you could see the glimmer of light. You could see the glimmer of happiness. You could see resurgence of a life that is healthier. And it was a good book. So the book actually covers a lot of stuff, from the pain of trauma that happens in your life to healing and happiness and overcoming. And so it was actually a really good book. Now, I don't normally read poetry. Don't normally write it either. But as I read this, it was a good thing because it actually put me out of my comfort zone, and I've been trying to read other things other than fiction. So this was actually really good for me. But it also reminded me that, like I said, I don't also write poetry, with one exception. So when I was married before, I found out my ex was cheating on me. Tried to work through it. I was just angry. I was hurt. I was an emotional mess. Did end up going through a divorce, obviously, because I'm with Jason now. And, but during that time, I found myself writing poetry. Hate poetry, maybe. I don't know. But I wrote a lot of poetry. That's just how my body and my mind was able to get all of these feelings out, was through poetry. So I actually found it very interesting that Lori wrote poetry through her healing. Weirdly enough, I will tell you I haven't written poetry again, which is probably a good thing because mine's kind of more of like a hate emotional poetry. So, but yeah, it's a really good book because it does actually show you resurging out of the depths of pain and suffering. Anyway, link in the description. And that, my friends, is the only book that I finished this week. I know, kind of odd for me. In fairness, there actually has been another book. It is a book that I picked up at the Visitor Center for Gettysburg when I went there last past week with my nephew. It's a really good book. It's taking me a long time. It's a rather thick book. It's a slower read. It's not just a fly-through book. It's just taking a while. We will talk about it next week because it is a good book. But for the purposes of this review, one book. I am going to take the time, though, to talk about 3 other books. A couple years ago, I actually published a book called Frogger Prince. It is true stories of online dating. If you are in a position where you are trying to find love online, read it because you will not feel so much alone. If you are way out of the dating scene and have never dated online, oh my word, read it because you are not going to believe the experiences that I had. Not going to believe it. So I did that one. Just recently, I actually put up the book Tales from the Scales. This is a collection of stories and happenings that have happened in my life surrounded by my weight loss. I actually shared one a couple weeks ago with the wasn't wearing my glasses and had an issue with the scales. But there's a lot of just really funny things in there that have happened. I mean, seriously, a toaster coffin and, commando at the gym, what happened? But there's also triumphs and failures. It's a book that will actually show you all sides of the weight loss journey. The last book I have out there is Snooki's Cookies, Recipes from Snooki. This is a small collection of recipes that I gleaned from my mom's collection. They are put down exactly how she put them, and I've included like her note cards that are just love. Those note cards that are so stained is just love. So I have 3 of those out. Check them out. I would love if you would check them out. I will put all of the links in the description below, also for the poetry book too. So next week, we'll get on to the next book. But yes, that is the books for this week. No excuses.